Ready to take your life to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Get all the information you need to be better, improve everything, and live life like a pro. This is the MenProvement Podcast with Sean Russell.
Welcome back to the MenProvement Podcast, and thank you so much for being here. Today I have a bonus episode for you guys, which is essentially something that sparked into my mind after having the last conversation I had with Phil Jolet on how to increase your IQ. Now, in that episode, if you haven't listened to it already, I really recommend it. It was one of my favorites, and I got a lot of great feedback from you guys, so thanks for emailing me, telling me how much you loved that episode. And what I wanted to talk about today was how in that episode we brought up the movie Limitless, because increasing your IQ is exactly what Bradley Cooper does in the movie Limitless. But if you haven't seen the movie, Bradley, he essentially is a bum, and he's a writer, and he just doesn't have his life together, and he gets a pill that he can take, and it instantly gives him the power to unlock the full potential of his brain, and he has a 4-digit IQ, and his life completely changes. And it's a really cool movie, and it really relates to the subject of increasing your IQ. But like we talked about in the last episode, there is no pill to do this safely. And I don't want one anyway. I like the fact that if I want that in my life, then I can get it by working hard over the course of years. And if I want to be great with women, I can do it without a pill and make it happen over the course of years. And if I want to make money, I don't need to do a get-rich-quick scheme. So that's important to say, because if that's your attitude, if you're looking for the quick fix to lose weight, if you're looking for the get-rich-quick scheme or some tricks and gimmicks to be good with women, then you're wasting your time, and that's not what we're about on the MenProvement Podcast. That's not what we're about at menprovement.com. We're building men into the ultimate versions of themselves, but it takes time. It takes years, but it's all about starting and doing it right the first time, so you don't waste your time with gimmicks and pills, because you can be an incredible man in 2 years, or you can try 20 get-rich-quick schemes in 2 years and 20 shortcuts and be exactly where you are now. So it's a choice that you need to make. But I'm digressing, so let me get back on the subject of today's show, which is all about the movie Limitless. And essentially, I want to give you this idea and try to change your perception on some things and show you what you can learn from the movie Limitless and from Bradley Cooper's character, and how you can take the traits that he acquires when he finally gets a 4-digit IQ and put them into your life tomorrow and even today without having a 4-digit IQ. So you can live like a man with a 4-digit IQ, and you don't need to take a pill to do so, and you can get the same results that he does. So that's what this bonus episode is going to be about today, and it's pretty cool. It's a subject I love to talk about, and it's not going to be too long, so let's jump into it. I want to start by saying, let's look at Bradley Cooper's character before he takes the pill NZT48. If you've seen the movie, then he's a struggling writer, and before he takes a pill, he looks like shit. His apartment's a mess. He has no inspiration. He's trying to write a book. He can't get any words out. He's in the bar at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. He's roaming the streets. His hair's all messed up. He hasn't shaved in weeks, and he looks like crap. He looks like a bum. And I just want to say this because this is what a guy who's not successful looks like. This is what a guy who's not performing at a high level looks like. And he's not doing the things that he does after he takes a pill to be successful. And that's not the reason why he has a 4-digit IQ. You don't need to do the things he does to have a 4-digit IQ. He can't get words out for his book because he's not doing anything in his life. He's not going to the gym. He's not cleaning himself. He's not meditating. He's not doing all these things. And his life sucks. But as you'll see, if you've seen the movie, then as soon as he takes NZT, he not only gets a 4-digit IQ, but his lifestyle changes. And that's what I want to talk about. That's the whole point of this show, is that, his IQ changes, but so does his lifestyle. He's not a guy with a 4-digit IQ who's now not clean and now not shaving and everything. As soon as he takes the pill, his lifestyle completely changes, and I'm going to go over each step so we can mimic it and have the same lifestyle without needing a pill, and ultimately get the same results without having a 4-digit IQ. And it's pretty cool. So what he was like beforehand. Let's talk about what he's like after and the lifestyle changes that you can get into your life. And then I'm going to go over each one afterwards and tell you how I made them habits in my own life and what I do to implement them, because I think it's really cool. I've got some great ideas on how we can expand upon this and how you can make them stick, because it's hard to make all these habits stick. But let's get into it. All right, so Bradley's a bum, and he finally gets his hands on NZT48, which is a smart drug that instantly unlocks the full potential of your brain. So as he's walking into his apartment for the first time, he takes a pill and he gets into a fight with his landlord's wife, and he finally feels the effects. And he's instantly smart. He sees a book and he remembers seeing it 10 years ago, and he actually seduces and has sex with his landlord's wife within 10 minutes of ingesting the pill. That's awesome, but that's not the subject for today's show. So after having sex with his landlord's wife, he walks into his apartment, and I'll quote him. He says, "Home, but this couldn't be my home, could it? Who would live like this? My first thought, torch it, but saner minds prevailed." And then he cleans his apartment for 4 hours. So he cleans. Before, when he was unsuccessful, he was a mess. But now that he has a 4-digit IQ and he's successful, the first thing he does is clean his entire apartment for 4 hours. Why would a guy with a 4-digit IQ waste his time cleaning when he can do anything? It's because you can't perform at a high level if your life is a mess, and if your apartment is a mess, if your room is a mess, and if you look like a mess. So I just wanted to say how impactful that is to me, that, as soon as he unlocks this full potential of his brain, he's cleaning his house. So I'm going to come back to that, but that's the first lifestyle change he makes. The second lifestyle change he makes is he says, "What is this drug? I haven't had a cigarette in 6 hours. I hadn't eaten. I couldn't stay messy on it. What was this drug?" And you don't need a drug to accomplish this. All right. So second lifestyle change is he stopped smoking cigarettes, and he doesn't need it anymore. And this is simple. If you're smoking cigarettes and you want to be the best version of yourself, I'm not going to sit here and preach and lecture you, but come on, you're not being the best version of yourself. So it's all about your commitment and what you want. And there's many tools out there to help you stop smoking. But the next thing he says is, "I hadn't eaten all day." And I'm not telling everyone to not eat. What I'm saying is that snacking and constantly grazing on food is not productive. And if you did listen to last week's episode, Phil talked about intermittent fasting and how intermittent fasting dramatically increased Phil's IQ. Literally, it did. It put him in the 99th percentile of people on Lumosity. And I've been doing intermittent fasting since recording that episode 3 months ago and it's incredible. It's like 1:30 today, and I just finally had some green juice. It's the first thing I had, and I'm full of energy. I'm clear. I know what I have to do, and I know how to do it. Because when you're constantly snacking, your blood is all going to your digestion. You're constantly using energy to digest food. So you don't have the energy to have the full mental capacity that you can have. So that's the third lifestyle change that he makes, is he's not constantly snacking. He's eating enough. You get the right amount of calories, but you do it in 1 to 2 meals or 3 meals tops. You're not grazing all day like the prey in the savannah does. You're the lion. You eat the prey. And I love that analogy. We talked about it last week, but let's move forward. So the fourth lifestyle change is his appearance. As he's walking on the street for the first time, he sees his appearance in a shop window, and he instantly thinks, no. So then there's a montage of him getting a haircut. Then he's going to the tailor, getting fitted for suits. And then he's going to the gym, which we'll talk about next. But essentially, as soon as he's this high-performing guy, he looks at himself. He's like, wow, what the hell? Who would dress like this? So he goes, he gets a haircut, he shaves, and he looks awesome. He's the Bradley Cooper that we all know, that all the girls love. He's not this bum with long ponytail who hasn't shaved in ages. And nothing changed. He didn't have a different job. He was just a smarter guy. So before, when he wasn't performing, he looked like a bum. He never shaved. He just woke up, showered, left his house. But now that he's this guy with a 4-digit IQ, he's waking up, he's shaving, he's doing his hair, he's got awesome clothes, and he looks the part. This is so important. You are your own personal brand. I'm big on this, is that you are a brand. My brand is Sean Russell. So everywhere I go, every second I leave the house, it's an opportunity to meet someone. It's an opportunity to see a beautiful girl. It's an opportunity to bump into someone to network with. It's always an opportunity. And I'm my personal brand. So if someone sees me, I want them to say, oh, that guy's got his shit together. Like, who is that guy? Before they even know who I am. So that's just something that I really want to bring up, that if you're not taking care of the way you look, then you're not living your personal brand at the highest level. I mean, what do you want to be? What would you rather be? Would you rather be RC Cola, or do you want to be Pepsi? You want to be the brand that stands out. So definitely work on your appearance, and we'll come back to how you can do that after. So during that montage, the next lifestyle change he makes is you see him going to the gym during that montage. And then after that, he's running next to the Hudson River. And essentially he's working out. He's got a 4-digit IQ now. He can do anything, and he's spending his time working out. Why? Because successful people work out. Richard Branson's number one tip for success is to work out, to go to the gym. So before, when he was a bum, he probably didn't even know what a gym looked like, and he couldn't even get words out on paper. But now he's writing books in one day. He's working out, he's going to the gym, he's running, he's just doing what he has to do to take care of his body, and that alone is going to increase your success. So if you're not doing some sort of exercise, I'm not saying you have to go to the gym or go running, play a sport, do something you love and make it fun. Just make sure you're doing that every single day. You can have rest days once in a while, but have some form of exercise every single day. And I'll come back to what I do personally to make sure that's a habit in my life. All right, so let's look at the last lifestyle change before we move on. And it's learning. So you see, he learns the piano. He's running along the Hudson River while listening to Spanish, learning Spanish. And yeah, he has a 4-digit IQ, so he can learn the piano really fast. And he can learn Spanish in a day. But you don't have to learn this stuff in a day. But all I'm saying is that constantly self-educating and challenging your mind is going to propel you forward. So whatever your goal is, I don't have to tell you guys because you're listening to this podcast. You might be listening to it in the car on the way to work or in the gym. So you're already doing that. But that's just an important lifestyle change that I wanted to point out that Bradley Cooper does. So those are essentially the 6 lifestyle changes that he makes. And before I come back and go over each one, I want to say the results in the movie that he gets from these lifestyle changes. So he starts doing all these things. And then as the movie goes on, there's another montage of him. He says he meets friends and he starts traveling the world to go to beach parties. And he says things like, I was clear. I wasn't wired. I knew what to do and I knew how to do it. That's the first thing he says. And that clarity, I can say, comes from doing all the things we talked about before. It comes from having a clean apartment. It comes from showering in the morning after a nice run and working out and shaving and grooming yourself. It comes from fixing your appearance. It comes from going to the gym and working out. And it comes from challenging your brain. When you're doing all these things, you're going to be clear. You're going to be clear on your intentions and you're going to feel good. You're not going to be overwhelmed. You come into your house, it's spotless. You wake up in the morning, it's clean. You started a clean slate. So you're going to have a clean mind. The second thing he says is that all shyness and all fear was gone. Now, this is hard, but the first step to losing your shyness and your fear is becoming a more confident man. And the first step to becoming a more confident man is doing all the things that we talked about before, the 6 lifestyle changes that he makes. Next, he says, mere lounging just wasn't enough. And I love this because when you're in a slump and you're like Bradley Cooper's character in the beginning and you just have nothing going on in your life, lounging is something you do all the time. But when you have your shit together and you are 2 months into a program where you've done incredible habits over and over, then mere lounging isn't enough. And I know it from experience because when I'm sitting around and I'm watching TV and it's not rewarded rest and deserved rest, I feel like crap. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm stagnating, and you should never feel like you're stagnating. So essentially what I'm saying is mere lounging should never be enough, and you should always be on your drive. And this comes from, once again, it comes from being clean. It comes from not smoking, not eating junk food. It comes from taking care of your appearance and going to the gym. It comes from learning. It comes from living on your purpose. You're always going to be on your drive. And when you do want to rest, because rest is important and decompressing is important, you deserve it. So of course I watch TV and stuff, but it's deserved rest because I know that if I don't and I keep working, then I'm going to overwhelm myself and I'm not going to be able to perform at a high level tomorrow. So you need to be able to perform at a high level and always be moving forward, but recognize the point at which you have reached a level of peak performance for the day. And if you do any more on the computer or you work out anymore, you're going to go into burnout and it's going to actually affect you negatively. So it's actually productive to decompress and watch the Food Network or watch a Travel Channel or something like this and just let your mind relax and get a great night's sleep. But mere lounging, no, it's never enough, and it can't be enough, and it shouldn't be enough. So I love that. And lastly, he says, if I wasn't moving forward, then I felt like I was going to explode. And this just expands on what we were talking about, is that if you got all these habits in your life and you've got yourself together and you have your purpose, you figured out your purpose in life, and you can do this by listening to all the podcasts we've talked about, or your purpose can just be to be the best version of yourself, you know? And if you have your purpose, then if you're not moving forward, you better feel like you're going to explode. And if you don't, then you're not doing it right and you're not quite there yet. But you can get there. It just takes time. And we're going to talk about how you can get there now. I'm going to go through each of the 6 lifestyle changes and what I personally do in my life to implement them and make sure that I do them every day and that they stick. And people have been emailing me requesting they want to hear more about my habits and habit hacking and what I do. So this will be kind of cool to kind of give you a sneak peek on what I do on a daily basis. And I'm going to have a podcast, a self-podcast like this on habit hacking and how to program your brain and your subconscious for success. And it's really cool. That will come in a few weeks to a month. But for now, let's just go through these lifestyle changes. So the first is cleaning. Now, trust me when I say this, I am not a naturally clean guy. If you knew me in college, then you'll know that I got evicted from my first apartment for parties and for it being a mess. And my second apartment, you probably wouldn't want to come in. But I've completely changed that. You don't need to be a naturally clean person to be clean. So essentially what I did is I made it a habit that every Sunday night I clean my place 100%. So I always want to start Monday on a clean slate. And this is important to me because I'm starting fresh. If you wake up Monday morning and you're ready to crush it this week, but everything's a mess, you can't start fresh. There's no way. I like to start fresh on a clean mind, a clean slate. I usually take Sundays off from everything just to relax and do meditation, reconnect with nature and things like this, and go out and approach women and stuff and just not be on the computer. And then Monday, I start fresh to crush it. So every Sunday night, I clean my place 100%, like spotless. And it only takes me an hour because I never let it get that bad. And I actually enjoy doing it. Cleaning is very therapeutical. So then every day I do my best to make sure that at the end of the day, I have tidied up and never let things accumulate. So if you're doing this every day and you're making sure you clean every Sunday, your place never gets messy. And if you're having a girl over, you can easily clean up in about half an hour. And the third thing I do, which I turned into a habit by doing it every single day for 30 days, and now I just do it automatically, is I never let dishes pile up in my sink. So as soon as I use a dish or even a fork, I wash it and I put it away. I don't use my dishwasher unless I'm getting like really lazy or I have a lot on my plate, but I wash my plate, I wash the fork, I dry it, and I put it away. It takes me 30 seconds, but always having that empty sink is like always having a clean mind. It's like a metaphor, and it actually translates. You know, I always walk into my kitchen, every room in my house is clean all the time, and I feel great. It's changed my life dramatically. So that's the first one. The second one, no cigarettes and no snacking. Obviously, I've never smoked and I don't smoke, but the snacking part, I was always a big eater. I was always a big snacker, always. But now that I'm doing intermittent fasting, I'm not a snacker and I don't miss it. And I have more energy and I'm skinnier and more muscular than I ever have been without going to the gym. I don't even go to the gym right now because I'm doing physical therapy on my shoulder, but I actually have a six-pack. And it's crazy because in college, when I was eating all the time and working out like crazy, I never had a six-pack. I always had a layer of fat over that area of my stomach. So it's interesting. And I'm not saying you have to intermittent fast because you don't. You know, that's just a personal choice. But just eat square meals. Eat 2 to 3 meals a day. You know, I say 3 tops, but 4 if you had to. It depends on what your profession is. But don't be constantly grazing and snacking because that just... it's like an impulse thing. You know, you're losing control. You're not in control of your habits. It's impulse eating, and that's just, it's weakness. And I find when I'm impulse eating, I just kind of get flustered and things start to go to shit. So that's what I do in my own life. And we'll move on to number 3 is my appearance. So, you know, jumping ahead, every morning when I wake up, I now go for a run, no matter what, you know, even if it's a short run. And even if it's cold, I just go for a short run just to get my body used to it. But I come back and I have a cold shower. As soon as I get out of the shower, I dry my hair, I put gel in my hair, I do my hair, I shave, and then I go to work, which is literally in my own place. So if I have no plans to leave my apartment, I'm still grooming myself as if I'm going to leave. And I'm not roaming around in, like, sometimes I wear sweats, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not roaming around looking like crap without grooming myself because I found and I find still that when I do this, I really have no motivation to leave the house, and I'm very less likely to go out and do anything, especially anything fun. But if I take care of my appearance right away in the beginning of the day, and I always dress sharp, which is something I learned from motivational blogger Victor Pride over at boldanddetermined.com. It's always dress sharp. The guy is a blogger as well, and he lives from his, he works from his house in Thailand, and he wears a suit every day. I mean, just to work, because he goes out into the world, and when he bumps into people, he can network and stuff. And I respect that. I don't wear a suit every day, but I look decent and presentable. And if I'm going to the supermarket, I'll take my sweats off and I'll put jeans on and I'll put a nice jacket on, or maybe a pea coat and a scarf, and I'll look good, because every time you leave the house, it's an opportunity to meet someone new. It's an opportunity to meet a beautiful girl. It's an opportunity to meet someone who you can network with. Like, we had a podcast with Zach Luz where he met the founder of Kashi in one of his judo classes, and he's now one of his most powerful mentors. Like, you never know where you're going to meet someone. You never know where you're going to leave and see that beautiful brunette with the tan body in the tight yoga pants with the perfect ass. And if you look like shit and you didn't do your hair or anything that day, and you didn't put on nice clothes, you're in no position to go over there and get her phone number. You can try, but she's going to look at you and probably be like, nah. So always dress sharp. It's one of my keys to success. And sometimes I find myself forgetting about that because I work from home. So it's something I have to really stick to and hold myself accountable for. So if you work from an office, just look your best. Always look good, and maybe up your clothes, get some new clothes. And it's just something that really will go a long way, because like I always like to say is that you are your own brand. Think of yourself as a brand. I said it before. You got to be a brand, and you got to treat yourself like Pepsi. You're not Stop and Shop brand cola, even though I hate soda and I don't even drink it. So it's a bad analogy, but just be your own brand, and you are your brands. You're always advertising yourself. So just think about that. The next thing is the gym and working out. Like I said, every morning I have a problem with my shoulder right now, so I don't go to the gym that much. And it's been winter here in New York, so it's hard. But now, for the past month, every morning I've made it a habit to just go on a quick run. And you know how I started was literally running down the road and back when it was freezing out, because the way your brain works is habits are created over a certain amount of time. Some science says 28 days, some science says 66. Who cares? Honestly, you need to do it 3 months or more. But essentially, it's just doing it, even no matter how small it is. So one of the master tips from like real habit teaching guys is to do something so small that you can't fail. So if you want to get into the habit of exercise, you get up and you do one push-up for 30 days. And after that, you've created a neural connection in your brain to wake up and do a push-up, to exercise. So I've created this neural connection in my brain by getting up every day, putting on workout clothes, not having to waste decision-making power in my brain thinking, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? I save my brain power for what's important. I just do it. I just get up, put my clothes on, leave the house, and do it. Even if I run 10 feet, I'll come back. I've never done that, but I'm saying that would be better than not doing it. So I'll run now like a mile just to the end of my block and around through the streets and back, and then I'm done. I did my running, and if I could go to the gym, I would later, but even if I didn't, at least I still did something, and I try to stay active throughout the day and not sit too much. So just make sure you're exercising every single day, and it just start small. If you find it hard, just start small, do it for 30 days and solidify the habit. And the last thing is learning and self-educating and learning languages and stuff like this. And I don't even have to talk to you guys about this, because if you're listening to this, then you are self-educating and you are on your grind, and that's cool. You're listening to this podcast, and I'm so grateful for it. So you are self-educating, and that's important. So we don't really need to go into that one, but what I do, I'll just talk about what I do in my life is, I'm self-educating every single day. Obviously, even when I'm doing these podcasts, I'm listening to at least one podcast a day. One of the ones I like is The School of Greatness or Mindset by Design with Andy, which we'll have a podcast in 2 weeks with, about programming your subconscious brain and things like this. And I'm not a big reader because I'm always reading for doing MenProvement.com, reading articles and stuff. But I do read articles. I do read once in a while, but I'm always watching YouTube videos and documentaries and things. And I'm always self-educating, and it's not hard. It's not like I'm forcing myself to. I'm passionate about this stuff. If you're trying to be better with women, what's better than watching videos on like picking up women and learning techniques and stuff like that? It's all cool stuff. So just self-educating is something that is awesome. But again, I don't have to tell you guys that. So that's it. I just wanted to instill in you that you can look at this character throughout the movie Limitless, and beforehand, when he sucks and he's doing nothing in his life, he's literally doing nothing in his life. He's not going to the gym. He's not working out. He's not meditating. He's not cleaning. He's not taking care of himself. But as soon as he gets this 4-digit IQ, he's traveling. He's going to the gym. He's running every day. He's grooming himself. He gets new clothes and he does all this awesome stuff. And then he goes on to make a lot of money. And you don't need a 4-digit IQ to go on to make a lot of money, to go on have a lot of sex. Like immediately he goes to the club and he's picking up girls and having sex with them because he's so smooth and smart. But you don't need a 4-digit IQ to do this. But you do need to be doing these 6 key habits in your life at least. And I'm sure that he meditated as well. It didn't show him meditating in the movie, but I'm sure he did. I meditate every single day for 20 minutes, and I'll give you a quick rundown on how to do it. You simply just sit there. You can sit in a chair or you cross your legs. You sit with your back straight, and you just let go of everything. Look into the black space in front of your eyes and let your breath breathe naturally, and just watch your breath. And when thoughts come in, which they will, you just observe the thoughts, but then go back to your breath, and you set a timer, and all you do is watch your natural breath go in and out and just focus on it. And as you get better at it, you'll get into a meditative state, which is when your breath gets so small that you're hardly even breathing. You're not thinking about anything, and you just kind of feel like you're vibrating. And after that, you feel so energized, and it's badass. And if you don't think meditation is manly, you're crazy, because it's like the manliest thing that I do in my life, because it amplifies every other area of my life. But the way you could start is 20 minutes is pretty intimidating. I know. You could start with 5 minutes a day. That's it. Even 1 minute a day. But just doing it every day creates that neural connection and creates a habit. Starting small is really, really important, because you don't set yourself up for failure. If you tried to do 20 minutes a day for 30 days, a lot of you would probably not do it. I would be the same way. But I started very small. I started with a minute, then I went to 5 minutes. And now I'm at 20 minutes, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you just got to keep that in mind. So think about that, guys. I really love this subject. So look at a guy with a 4-digit IQ. What does he do every day? And if you're not doing it, then you're crazy, So thanks for listening to this. And we'll have another episode in a couple days, because this is a bonus. And it's going to be Wandering Earl. He's a world traveler, and we'll talk about how you can travel the world for less than $1,000 a day. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and have a great week.